The CEMAC member countries are called upon to close ranks, act together, share experiences, and strengthen the integration instruments which support member states in the fight against the health crisis, as well as integrate women and youths in the development process of the sub-region.
The free movement of people in the CEMAC zone is something very important, because when we cannot move freely or easily from one country to another, we cannot easily maybe implement this process of regional integration.
CEMAC authorities have to maintain all the finance on promotion of regional integration in CEMAC zone.
Facilitating and moderating the roundtable conference via video conferencing, the chairperson of the Council of Ministers of CEMAC, Alamin Usman May, and the chairperson of the CEMAC Commission, Professor Daniel Ona-Ondor, respectively emphasized that against all odds, a retrospective look at the course of CEMAC since its creation in 1994 confirms hopes of building a common destiny justified by the complementarity of their common economies, which can only be done through combined efforts to preserve their gains.
On to one of our top stories, work in some public administrations is unhurried due to persistent absenteeism and dormancy. The Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, has decried the vice translated through long and unjustified leaves of absence, false medical certificates, and extended lunch breaks. Cynthia Saptala reports on these recurrent malpractices which affect the output of the public service.
It would seem that the release from the presidency was the needed call to order in some public administrations. The empty chairs with absent workers, habitual late coming, and extended leaves of absence, all attitudes condemned in the official document addressed to state workers.
I cannot say that the civil servants are always there. We register some cases, 3 to 5, but it is not here at the central services.
Though some did show up this Tuesday, officials in these administrations say they do have measures to track the presence of all their staff as well as their assiduity at work.
When you arrive, there are some devices that have been put on the main gate. Even the door of the office have the same device. And with that device, we have fingerprint. It shows us the date, the hour of coming, and the hour of departure. Also, we have camera.
Measures that not all administrations can effectively put in place. However, for those civil servants with such a pattern of deserting their post of duty, risk a query, then a sanction, and in certain cases, termination.
More than 8,700 state personnel will be facing sanctions that include outright dismissal due to work skipping and indiscipline, in a decision triggered by Prime Minister Joseph John Gutteh to be implemented by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Joseph Lay. Some 10,000 files of recalcitrant employees have been examined. Luma Slim Davies has details of the declaration made today in Yaoundé.
Absenteeism in the public service is a growing phenomenon with a negative social and economic effect on government action and ambition.
Many of our civil servants used to abandon their post, especially for those who are in the regions. I must go to Yaoundé to follow my file. I must go to this place because I have this or that to do, without any justification. Even if you have been ill, you need to justify that you've gone to an hospital. You met a doctor who prescribed something for you.
In 2018, a fiscal head count that saw 10,000 public service files examined raked in 10 billion CFA francs into government coffers.
We are working on a specific file. We have noticed that more than 10,000 civil servants were not in their post of duty. Many have even gone abroad, but they continue to have their salary, which is not normal.
Government is, however, set to make defaulters pay the price.
Many will be sanctioned. Many, I can tell you, will even be sacked from our administration if they don't justify their situation. This is not acceptable.
And indeed, it is time to say enough is enough.
In spite of the absenteeism that is rife in some public administrations, there are some parastatals who are often cited as examples in the fight against work defection. They are the Special Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, FCA, and the National Social Insurance Fund, CNPS, who have taken strict measures. Beatrice Lawsummer reports that their zero tolerance on absenteeism have borne fruits of excellence at work.
It is check-in time at the Special Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, example of an organ where absenteeism and late coming is rigorously checked. This electronic device registers arrival and departure time by digital fingerprints for accountability.
At 7:13, everybody must be inside FCA because at 7:31, the door is locked, nobody can enter. Sometimes I'm going downstairs to see if what we want to apply is respected.
Time is a precious asset in this parastatal, which has set high goals.
Every employee had a contract of objective, so you know exactly what you have to do every day. So, and we are doing an evaluation of that contract every month. We are paid because we are working, and I cannot we cannot understand how can somebody have a salary without working. When you are late, we are considered as absent. We withdraw the day of your salary.
The National Social Insurance Fund is another example, a place where workers can't afford bearing the cost of late coming.
It also permits us locate workers who dodge from work or leave before time. The application tells at what time the worker came in or left.
A sort of staff police verifies that machines correlate with what obtains, and absentees or latecomers expect sanctions ranging from query to observation letters and salary cuts.
Are seeking ways to ease procedures and to limit fraud. During a workshop on the appropriation of online settings, Minister Joseph Lee enjoined the stakeholders to embrace change for the betterment of the public service offer. Emmanuel Avemnu has the details.
Easing public service procedures linked to the recruitment of Cameroonians into the public service has witnessed lots of mutations, yet remain a major preoccupation for officials of the Ministry of Public Service. Gathered for another reflection on how to reduce corruption and fraud involved in competitive examinations, participants have been cautioned to build a credible public service.
It's important to facilitate things for those who have to write administrative exams. We have begun organizing oral parts of those exams in our regional headquarters. And this year, we are doing everything so that we can also organize in our divisional headquarters.
Those directly concerned with the organization of competitive examinations are here to master the new procedures. With the registration now online, orals through video conferencing, the Ministry of Public Service is working to ensure that geographical distance is no longer a barrier for anyone taking public competitive examinations in the country.
Global awareness is being raised on consumer respect and protection against market abuses and social injustices. Hours after the commemoration of the World Consumer Rights Day, we zoom in on these violations, which include cheating, fake products, and erroneous bills. The role of consumers' associations is thus questioned. Clarice Aretakan reports that their impact can be felt if only they are equipped with the necessary resources.
More than a score of them exist in Cameroon. Consumers' associations. Their areas of intervention are just as diverse. Water, energy, telecommunications, and food processing are the most sought after. Consumer protection is their main fight. However, with numerous cases of users being victims of unscrupulous business practices, the voice of those who have volunteered to defend their rights is yet to cause significant change.
We don't have a running budget, so we cannot work without subventions, and also, consumers don't know their rights. They must belong to consumers' associations associations. We cannot defend them otherwise. If we can have lawyers and technical expertise, then we can do our job. We need to be independent.
The
2011 law on consumer protection in Cameroon has been hailed for putting the interest of the public in the spotlight. Consumers associations argue that they must be given the tools with which to effectively play their role.
There must be a true relationship and synergy between the administration and consumers associations. Our major role is to denounce, and without this, the state cannot function well.
The buyer is king and should be treated as such, many hold. Sadly, this is not always the case, consumers groups regret. They insist that, to address violations, strong partnership with the state and inhabitants is essential.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
In sports and COVID-19, the Confederation of African Football has ordered that all players will be systematically screened for COVID-19 48 hours before encounters. As Coton Sport of Garoua prepares for its Group C CAF match, health officers in Garoua have been testing players and match officials for the virus. We now take you to the Garoua Regional Hospital to meet Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Willie Bilogi. Hello, Baldwin. How is the testing being carried out there?
Good evening to you, Esther Kmer. Welcome to the Garoua Regional Hospital, where with our guest, Dr. Willie Bilogi, we shall be talking about health measures put in place to avoid any spread of COVID-19 during this international match this Wednesday in Garoua between Coton Sport of Garoua and Renaissance Sportif of Berkane from Morocco. Good evening to you, Dr. Willie Bilogi.
Good evening.
What measures have been put in place to avoid any further contamination or the spread of the virus ahead of this Coton Sport versus AS Berkane match built for Garoua this Wednesday?
Okay, for this game, the first thing that we have done was concerning the testing of the both teams. The both teams have been tested like recommended by the CAF Medical Commission 48 hours before. We are supposed to have the result today and to give the result to the team. When we have the result, now if you have a positive case, depending of his clinical presentation, it can be isolated to a hotel or it can be isolated to our medical structure which is ready to receive the patient.
Thank you so much, Dr. Willie Bilogi, for all those explanations, and not only the players and members of the different delegations, all those concerned with the international match between Coton Sport of Garoua and Renaissance Sportif of Berkane this Wednesday have equally gone through the screening process, which is recommended 48 hours ahead of such an international match. Back to you, Esther Kmer.
Thanks, Baldwin Sama. While all actors involved in Wednesday's game are being screened, public administrative and council authorities in Bonge subdivision in the southwest region are carrying out joint sensitization campaigns to control the spread of COVID-19 in the metropolitan town. Defaulters of barrier measures have been promised tough sanctions. Tanjong Levis Agbo reports from Sierra TV Southwest in Boya.
The cosmopolitan nature of Mbonge subdivision makes its population more vulnerable to the pandemic, so there is need for continuous sensitization in public spaces to flatten the COVID-19 curve in the region. The visit by the divisional officer from Mbonge, Otto Williams II, and the mayor, Daniel Matamokambe, is to ensure that stringent measures are enforced to contain the spread of the virus, where disinfection exercises are already in place in strategic areas.
You are not allowed to carry somebody who is not wearing the mask. They are banned overload. That means what for you to 10 people in a car, banned. You have to disinfect your car every day.
According to the divisional officer, traders and automobile transporters who violate these measures would have the driver's license suspended, as spelled out by the Minister of Transport. The mayor reiterated the need for vehicles to carry limited passengers, the wearing of face masks, and regular washing of hands. The population was enjoined to continually respect these measures, especially during the second wave of the virus.
In continuation of our series on the upswing of violence in schools, we spotlight tonight the impact of such unruly behavior on instructors. We recall the attack of the principal of Government Bilingual High School Ebonyi in Mongo Division of the Littoral Region. 2 years after the incident, Cynthia Saptala reports that assaults still persist in the school.
At the Government Bilingual High School Ebonyi in the Mongo Division of the Littoral Region, it was a new principal who experienced violence on campus. Barely a week upon his arrival, October 2019, he was attacked with a machete at his residence. The perpetrators told him they came to signal a warning to the teaching staff.
They wounded me on the head and I was bleeding. Then they claimed that they didn't come to kill me but to ask me to warn the disciplinarian and other staff members for controlling students.
According to the school authority, in the past year, there has been more than 5 attacks on campus. The office of the principal was vandalized and money stolen, and children were attacked in the middle of lessons. A situation that apparently can be helped. The 4 hectares of land which constitutes a campus is currently unprotected. It serves as an open route to farmers heading to their plantations, with nearby bushes serving as hiding spots for those seeking to intrude.
In other news, members of the Steering and Monitoring Committee of the Debt Development Relief Program, C2D, have been lauded for the contributions of the scheme on communities. This was at the 14th session of the committee attended by the French ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Guilou, and some state authorities. Over 1,000 billion CFA francs has been invested for the improvement of lives. Ewane Pole tells us more.
The 14th session of the Steering and Monitoring Committee of the Debt Reduction and Development Contract, C2D, co-chaired by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, the Minister of Economy, Alamine Ousmane Mey, and the French Ambassador to Cameroon, Christophe Guilou, held in Yaoundé to make an assessment of the operational implementation of the third C2D contract.
400 billion CFA francs. This is the money that is allocated for the C2D. We are going to lack an average of 72 billion CFA francs. We have to find some other ways of finding resources so as to continue to implement the project.
As a factor of strengthening bilateral cooperation between Cameroon and France, the government authorities lauded the contribution of the C2D in supporting the Cameroon economy.
France, through this mechanism, would have invested in this country 1,000 billion French CFA in infrastructure, in health, in education, in rural development, vocational training, employability of youth.
C2D is a result of the heavily indebted poor countries initiative to directly return to Cameroon debt owed to France in the form of subsidies, which can be used to improve the living conditions of the population.
On to our investigative report, the obtention of a COVID-19 test result set down to check the spread of the virus has become a contest of strength. The public who goes voluntarily for screening will have to wait for hours on end for the results, and the effects of this delay, especially for travelers, is sometimes disastrous. Alison Bay went finding out what is not right in the operation. Here's her report.
The Yaoundé Sport Complex is one of the centers where the COVID-19 test is being carried out. Samples collected are transferred to the National Public Health Laboratory for diagnosis, and the rapid test results can be known within 20 minutes.
Here we collect samples for the rapid diagnostic test, which takes 15 to 20 minutes for people who want to know their results immediately. And we also collect samples for the polymerase chain release test. The samples are sent to the National Public Health Laboratory Center for testing.
However, delays have been reported.
Here we receive all the COVID-19 samples and carry out 2 types of tests. The rapid diagnostic test, whose results are obtained in 15 to 20 minutes. The polymerase chain release test, which has several stages. We begin by receiving the sample, render it inactive, extract the ribonucleic acid, carry out the amplification test, and analyze the results, which takes a bit of time, normally 24 hours. It can happen that we have doubts on a test and take it all over, which causes delays. We also receive a lot of samples daily, above 500 than the normal amount, which also takes time to do the test.
Health personnel advise people to go for early testing.
People are advised to do their test 48 hours earlier, especially travelers. Someone traveling on Wednesday, for example, should do their test on Monday and obtain the results by Tuesday evening and travel safely on Wednesday.
Medical practitioners say they are willing to return the test results earlier, but are usually overloaded with work, which makes their job difficult.
And now on to sports. Coton Sport of Garoua players and officials say they are ready to face their opponents during the second Group C game of the CAF Confederations Cup. They are set to clash with Renaissance Sportive of Berkane, Morocco at the Rumde Aja Stadium in Garoua. Borden Sama reports on their training session and CRTV's deployments for a live broadcast.
It is a motivated Coton Sport of Garoua squad that trains Tuesday morning at the Rumde Aja Stadium with the winning spirit reignited after their defeat in the tournament opener against GS Kabylie. Players and officials of Coton Sport while training hope for nothing short of a victory this Wednesday.
The morals of our guys are very good, very good. They know that they have to play against a very big team. It means that they must show their level of playing.
Their opponents, Renaissance Sportif of Berkane, 35-man delegation made up of 22 players, were in Garoua, ready to secure their second group victory as they worked on a winning strategy during their training session this Tuesday. We are ready for tomorrow's match and we take each match as it comes, while respecting our opponents, Coton Sport of Garoua. CRTV, in a build-up to the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, deployed a huge team of technicians and reporters and the outdoor broadcast van to produce the international signal of this match.
Show to the world and of course to Cameroonians that CRTV is up to the task. That what we did during the African Championship was not something we did haphazardly. We were prepared and we are still preparing to show to everybody that we are professionals and up to the task.
Football lovers in Garoua get ready for this international match, as the match will be in camera due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
And as you mainly heard in this newscast, Cameroon is indeed a friend to Equatorial Guinea. A humanitarian aid mission has been authorized by President Paul Biya to provide relief to the brotherly nation that has been affected by an explosion which left over 100 persons dead and about 600 more injured. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adam Bala. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing, stay tuned to our programs on CRTV and on CRTV News, and stay protected from the coronavirus. It is real and it kills.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.